Hey Burnout Crew, welcome back to the Burnout Block. I hope you guys are ready to talk about one of the most asked for lists in the freaking history of YouTube car channels. Like seriously, if you go up to that search bar and search this up, you'll find a million of them. But today, we're going to do our own spin on it, and that is 10 exciting sports cars you can buy for under $10,000. As a disclaimer, all cars I'm mentioning on this list were found by me personally on AutoTrader. We are not sponsored in any way by AutoTrader, it is just the search engine I use to find these cars. And to you, don't forget to subscribe. You won't want to miss out on any of our great content. Let's get into it. Starting off, we have the 2003 to 2008 Infiniti G35. The G35 is a staple in the automotive enthusiast scene. Mods are plentiful for these platforms, and the G35 is powered by a very reliable 3.5 liter V6. You might also know this V6 as the VQ engines, which are very popular and also came in its brother, the 350Z. These engines make around 275 to 293 horsepower and 270 foot-pounds of torque. The G35 was offered with a 5-speed automatic or a 6-speed manual. With a 0 to 60 time of 5.2 seconds and a quarter mile time of 14.1 seconds, this car is an all-around go-getter. Like I said, this car is the brother of the Nissan 350Z. However, in my own opinion, it's a little bit fancier. These cars get modified all the time, but that's just a testament to how great these cars are. Stance build, done. Drag build, finished. 1,000 horsepower street car? Yes, please. From 2JZ to LS, this platform has seen it all. You can pick up a decent example of a G35 for between $6,000 and $9,500, so go pick one up before they appreciate. Next up, we have the 2005 to 2010 Chevy Cobalt SS. This car flew under the radar for a few years, initially very popular when they came out. They kind of faded out for a few years and lost their value, but now they're right back in the mainstream and prices are going up. In a few years, these cars might not be on this list. Nevertheless, the 2005 to 2007 Cobalt SS came with a 2-liter Eaton supercharged Ecotec inline-4 paired with a 5-speed manual, making 205 horsepower and 200 foot-pounds of torque. The 05 to 07s were available in a coupe with a 0 to 60 time of 5.9 seconds and a quarter mile time of 14.5 seconds, with a top speed of 158 miles an hour. But that all changed in 2008 when the supercharged Ecotec did not meet EPA regulations. So, GM had a big brain idea. They slapped a turbo on. This time the turboed 2-liter made 260 horsepower and 200 foot-pounds of torque. That's a horse pork. Also this time around, the Cobalt SS could be bought as a coupe or a sedan, and was still offered with a 5-speed manual. Though I've heard some come with 4-speed automatics, but who wants one of those, right? It's not like I have one in my G6. Anyways, this time the Cobalt SS had a 0 to 60 time of 5.5 seconds and a quarter mile time of 13.9 seconds with a top speed of 155 miles an hour. Gig Cobalts can be found for around $5,000 to $7,000, though many are already built, so you might be able to find a bargain built one for $8,000 to $10,000. Just know that you might not know what you're getting into. Also, the same engine could be found in the Saturn Ion Redline, the supercharged motor that is. Unfortunately, Saturn did not put the turbocharged motor in the Redline, which is probably why they're not as popular. Either way, the Cobalt SS is a great car. Let's move on to our next. Hopping on over to the Euro scene real quick, we're going to talk about the 2000 to 2006 Audi B6 A4. This car offers a luxury German interior, but the fun of Audi's all-wheel drive quattro system. If you get an A4, go for the turbocharged 1.8 liter 4-cylinder. You can get an automatic or a manual, but with this car, manual is going to want to be your option, because you can get an A4 in a cabriolet, a sedan, or a freaking wagon. You can get an all-wheel drive turbocharged manual wagon from Germany for under $10,000. That's friggin' insane. The 1.8 liter came with 148 to 187 horsepower and 154 to 177 foot-pounds of torque to their years respectively, and it had a top speed of 147 miles an hour. This is a great choice if you want a fun sporty daily for all times of the year. You can pick up a B6 A4 between $4,500 and $8,500 depending on miles and condition. Next car. Moving away from turbo cars for a minute, we're going to take a trip back to the good old V8s of America. First with the 2005 to 2009 S197 Mustang GT. The S197 was a callback to the birth of the pony car in 2005 when it was released with its heritage styling, reminiscent of the Mustang of the 60s. It's called heritage styling because apparently Ford thought retro made it sound old, and Ford wanted to target a younger audience. I don't get it, but I guess it worked because the S197 was a hit. The S197 Mustang GT came with a 4.6 liter V8 making 300 horsepower and 320 foot-pounds of torque. It also came with an optional 5-speed automatic or 5-speed manual. The old school meets new school look really caught the eye of muscle car fans across the world. It caught the eye of little 5-year-old me when my childhood hero John Cena, yes I watch wrestling, drove a black and gold S197 through the streets of Detroit and crashed it through the glass stage at Ford Field in 2007. I highly recommend watching this clip. Definitely a really good WrestleMania. One of the best moments of my childhood. Back to this car. This thing had a quarter mile time of 13.8 seconds with a top speed of 140 miles an hour. And this car has a huge aftermarket following. I mean, customization is endless. This car has been in a zillion racing games since 2005 and is one of the coolest cars of the 2000s. You can pick one up between $5,000 and $10,000 all day. Just please don't get a V6 one. Please. Let's keep rolling. Next up for our V8s is the 1998 to 2002 Chevy Camaro Z28, the good old catfish Camaro.
Let me tell you something about the Chevy Camaro.
The 4th gen Camaro was the last Camaro made by a GM before its hiatus. It often gets crapped on because of its looks, because it looks like a catfish. But that's not to say it can't perform. The earlier years of the 4th gen Camaro saw the LT1, but who really cares? Because the later gens got an LS1. Let's go. 5.7 liter LS1, baby. Rocking 305 horsepower in the 98s. The LS versions had 325 horsepower with 340 foot-pounds of torque, making this car officially the highest horsepower car on our list. With an optional 4-speed automatic, gross, or a 5 or 6-speed manual, you can honestly have a lot of fun in these cars. Included is a 5.2 second 0 to 60 time and a quarter mile time of 13.5 seconds with a top speed of 160 miles an hour, which is actually faster than our honorable mention. These cars are great for tearing up the back roads, with many grudge racers choosing the Z28 as their street racing chariot of choice, or the Trans Am WS6, which I honestly like more because I'm a Pontiac fan. But good luck finding a clean low mileage WS6 for under 10 grand. Anyways, you can pick up a bald eagle screaming, mullet blowing, Mountain Dew chugging Z28 for anywhere between $7,500 and $9,500. Let's continue. Moving away from the gas guzzling V8s of America, we're going to talk about the 2002 to 2006 Acura RSX Type S. Built to be the newer incarnation of the famous Integra, which made Acura very successful in the 90s, along with cars like the NSX, the RSX was like the newer, more grown-up version of the Integra. But we're not talking about the regular RSX. We're talking about the Type S. The Type S was meant to be the sport-oriented version of the RSX, reminiscent of the Type R. It didn't really get there though. It was close, I think. We didn't get the RSX Type R in the States because the US doesn't get cool stuff. But anyways, the Type S came with 201 horsepower and 140 foot-pounds out of a 4-cylinder naturally aspirated engine and was only offered with a manual, which is sweet. 0 to 60 time of 6.2 seconds and a quarter mile time of 15.11 seconds. But it did have a top speed of 145 miles an hour. This Japanese pretty boy is the perfect car for turboing. And honestly, this is the perfect car for the younger enthusiast. It's right at a great first car budget too. These cars can be found in great condition between $5,000 and $9,000. Whether you like autocross or just Thursday night testing tunes with the boys, this is the quintessential first car for a 16-year-old tuner. Just please, this is for those kids. You guys listening? Okay. Come in a little bit closer. Please do not buy a $200 eBay Turbo and slap it on your car with no clue what you're doing, okay? Also, cutting off your exhaust and slapping a big fart can won't make you cool. Class dismissed. Let's move on. Who doesn't love the wind blowing through your hair while you speed through the twisting, turning mountain roads of California? Well, the Mazda Miata can give you one of those things, and I'll give you a hint. It's not the speeding part. That's okay though, because we're talking about the fun things about the 1989 to 1997 Mazda Miata, aka the NA Miata. The NA Miata is arguably the best generation of Miata for one particular reason. Can you guess what it is? It's pop-up headlights. Look how cute it is. It's like driving a puppy. This car is slow, so if you pick one up, don't be expected to take anyone to Gapplebee's. Unless you engine swap it, which, speaking of, engine swaps are amazing for this little car that could. LS swaps are common, with crazy stuff like a Hellcat swap not being out of the realm either. Fellow JDM engines aren't irrelevant either, with 2JZ and RB swaps and just about everything else under the sun. The Miata being a small, lightweight two-door convertible, it is a great option for just about everything. Drift, drag, autocross, even off-roading. The Miata can and has done it all. If you like driving something that no one else has, Miata might not be for you. But if you want a cheap car that you can turn into anything you want, then go pick one up. You can get a clean NA Miata for anywhere between $6,000 and $9,000. Next car. Oh, the Blob-Eye WRX. Vape Nation unite. Okay, all stereotypes aside, this car is a certified banger of a deal aside from the Subaru tax. A sedan powered by a 2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder boxer engine, making 227 horsepower and 217 foot-pounds of torque, made it to a 6-speed manual. Oh yeah, and did I mention all-wheel frickin' drive? This car is a beast. You can daily these cars, but just remember that they drink oil like an alcoholic and eat head gaskets for breakfast, but they're a great pick for driving all year round. The all-wheel drive system is perfect for acceleration and great handling, but also for snow drifting, which, like I mentioned, us folks here in Ohio love. Sadly, finding a clean STI trim of the WRX is about impossible at this price range because of the previously mentioned Subaru tax, but that doesn't mean you can't have fun though. These cars can go from 0 to 60 in 5.7 seconds and run the quarter mile in 14.1. Performance aside, these cars are great for show and stance builds, if that's your thing. A Cobb access port, intake, and a proper exhaust, and you'll have a nice rumbly car. As time rolls on, finding clean versions of these cars can be hard, especially on websites like AutoTrader, so I recommend looking on Facebook Marketplace and Craigslist for more availability. You can usually find a good, not riced or clapped out example for about $6,000 to $9,000. This next car is another Euro car in the form of the 2007 to 2013 BMW 328i E90 sedan. Yes, I know that was a lot of letters and numbers. This BMW is a beautiful luxury sedan that hides a little bit more sportiness under it. Underneath the hood is a 3-liter, straight, 6-cylinder. No, I'm sorry, it's not the twin-turbo N54, aka the German 2JZ. I'm sorry, man, I can't work magic. But under that hood is the N54's little bro, the N52. From factory, the N52 makes a respectable 231 horsepower and 200 foot-pounds of torque, but slap a turbo kit on that bad boy and you can see numbers in the 500s and up. The stock 328i does 0 to 60 in 5.5 seconds, with a very decent quarter mile time of 14 flat, along with a top speed of 146 miles an hour. This BMW is reaching sleeper status, double sleeper status if you slap a spinny boy on. I have the opinion that a white 328i on bags with a nice set of multi-spoke chrome BBS wheels is the cleanest setup for a nice daily. Although the aftermarket letting these cars go to 500 and up might be a really nice race car. I mean, they look really aggressive on slicks, though you might lose that sleeper status. There are mixed reviews online about the reliability of these cars. Some say the cars are cheap because of the surplus of them produced, others say they're cheap because they're unreliable. In any case, it's a BMW, and if you plan on having run for a while, make sure you take good care of it. These beauties come at the top of our price range at about $9,000 to $10,000, but if you're looking for a very good looking, very luxurious sedan, it's not a bad deal. Just double check the maintenance history before you buy. Moving on. Our honorable mention is not on this list because even though you can sometimes find them under $10,000, they are infrequent and usually are very beat up with high mileage and are usually the base model. That car is the 2013 to 2014 Ford Focus ST. Though all of this is being stated as of November 2021. So if you're watching this in the future, this might not be accurate. It might even become low enough to be in a future video. Let's go to number 10. The last car on this list will throw most of you a curveball, but if you've been watching all the videos beforehand, you'll probably know what I'm talking about. The most underrated car of the late 2000s. My very own first car, the Pontiac G6. Actually, we're focusing on the GXP trim, and I have a GT, but still. Yes, the G6 GXP is a very underrated car. Being offered in a coupe or sedan, these cars flew under the radar for years in the shadows of cars like the G8, GTO, and even the G6's cousins in the previously mentioned Cobalt SS and Saturn Ion Redline. The G6 GXP came with a 3.6 liter V6 mated to a 6-speed automatic. But it had slap shifting, I mean. Yes, sadly, the most sport-oriented G6 only came with a 6-speed automatic. Though, a 6-speed manual GM F40 transmission was offered in the G6, but they are very rare. According to a G6 forum post from years ago, only about 900 manual G6s were ever ordered, and they were only offered from 2006 to 2007. So if you find one, pick it up, just know it won't be a GXP. The 3.6 liter V6 made a stout for the time 252 horsepower and 251 foot-pounds of torque. With a 0 to 60 of 5.9 seconds, a quarter mile time of 14.6 seconds, and a top speed of 145 miles an hour, these cars are nothing to scoff at. Yeah, the GXP styling is very outdated, but the car has been so under the radar that you can get them cheap with very nice options. You can get leather bucket seats and a monsoon sound system, which I can say from experience is a great system for being OEM. The only downfall is that the aftermarket is relatively small and rust tends to plague the rear quarter panel and side skirts. But the car handles amazingly and is very reliable. I kicked the crap out of my GT and it has no issues at 140,000 miles. And that's not all. These cars were built like tanks. There are reports of G6s going to 250,000 miles. In my own opinion, having a GXP as your first car or just something you use as a daily is a great option. They are one of the most tank-like newer dailies you can still drive and have fun in. You can get one of these truly amazing cars for anywhere between $4,500 and $8,000. So be quick because the GXPs are going up in price. And with that, that's our list. Let us know what fun car under $10,000 you love down in the comments below. Obviously, we couldn't get to all of them, so letting us know, we can maybe make a part 2, heck, even maybe a part 3. So let's see those comments. Follow me on Instagram at devils.demonchild. Follow the Burnout Block at the Burnout Block. And with that, we'll see you in the future.